Hi.
I did it. I'm so proud of myself.
I'm proud of you too.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, it's my pleasure. Has a lot happened since we just did our podcast, what, 2 weeks ago or so, if that. How has life changed at all since the book has made its appearance and all the rest?
Yeah, no, I mean it's been fantastic. It's been a very fun, exciting week. It's so great to have it out in the world, and the reader response has been fantastic. I will say the most fun thing has been like just the response on Instagram and interfacing with readers, which is like my absolute favorite thing to do, because they've been posting the cover and reading it so quickly, and it's a book of the month selection, and so that's been so fun to be a part of, and to meet those readers, which is like, it's a whole community. So that has been really exciting. And also the film news was announced. So Nicole Kidman and Amazon Studios, Nicole Kidman's producing it, the Amazon Studios. And so there's a lot of exciting things at once. And so it's been a really great week. I mean, obviously this is strange to bring out a book at this time when we're all locked down, but I actually had like a virtual launch last night at the community bookstore in Park Slope. They hosted it, and Laura Sims was nice enough to be my interviewer, and it was so nice. Like, I have a very close friend who's in Japan, and she asked one of the questions at the end.
Aww.
It was really special. And it is hard as an author to lose that launch event, because it's really your chance to connect with people, because it's a solitary job being a writer. And so it is a loss not to have those in-person events, but it was really great last night. It was a really special night.
Oh, that's really exciting. And the film news is huge. How long have you had to keep that quiet? Isn't that hard to keep a secret like that?
Yeah, like 6 months.
Oh my gosh. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
so it is for sure hard to keep quiet, but my first book was optioned, so I've been kind of in that process for a long time, and I know you just got to kind of keep it quiet. So there's even like more things I know, but other things just keep quiet. So you tell your family, and then you just keep telling them and making them listen. That's the substitute.
I'm going to tell you the same piece of news 57 times, and you are going to act surprised.
Act excited and surprised for me, because you're all I have.
Oh my gosh. Well, that is really exciting. Do you have like not that the important part is the film, the important part is the book, but just out of curiosity, do you have like dream characters, stars picked out for who you would want?
The amazing thing right now is I feel like obviously there's a lot of significant female characters in the book, and by design, and there's a lot of relationships. There's a lot of different couples. There's so many, and the women in the book are mostly in their like late 30s, early 40s kind of age-ish. Although Amanda, the main character, is a bit younger. But there's so many amazing actresses working nowadays in that, general vicinity, that like I feel like I'd be spoiled for choice. So I don't ever get to get my heart set on one person, because so many people are so talented out there.
Has anybody come forward, having read the book, even in the last like couple days, and said that any part of that is like did they admit to any of the swinging parties, the summer camp parties? Like,
you mean besides me? No.
aside from you and your best friend.
Aside from me, and the fact that I host the party every year, where I already invited Zibby. She said no. She politely declined.
I'm busy I'm planning my own party now. Thank you very much.
Okay.
So I don't need you.
Better invite me. You better invite me.
I'll think about it.
No one's come forward in the past few days. I'm sure they're just laying low. They're gonna lay low and let it like just blow right over.
Oh my gosh. So tell people who might not know as much about the book, just give a little snippet of what it's about.
Yeah, so it's set in Park Slope, Brooklyn, which is my neighborhood, where I'm currently locked down. It takes place over a week in the summer, where most of the kids are away at summer camp, and their parents are gearing up for the event of the summer, which is this party Zibby and I are playfully joking about, which is an adults-only party with a sexually adventurous side. It's not quite like a swinging party, but it has an aspect of that to it. But it was always just really meant to be in good fun. But after this year's party, a woman ends up dead. her husband is quickly accused, and he reaches out to a former law school classmate named Lizzie to help him. And she's an outsider to the neighborhood with her own marital issues. And as she's drawn into Park Slope, she quickly realizes that, you know, neither her friend nor his wife were who they appeared to be. And so it's part domestic suspense for sure. It's also part legal thriller, which was really fun for me to write because I'm a former lawyer. But it's also a genuine exploration of what it means to sustain a marriage over time and what it means to have a good marriage. So it's kind of doing several different things at once. And I would say that for me, you know, I'm drawn first to that theme, like what is a good marriage and that question. But I love the mystery part too. So you're kind of supposed to be pinned to your seat and really entertained by that. But left with really, like, you know, questions about what that really means and what does society say about what a good marriage is.
Has anyone asked you if you have a good marriage?
No. Would you like to, Zibby?
I would like to. Sign me up. I'm going to put my name on that question list.
Yes. So I would say, I mean, a little bit like I'm married, so I'm not divorced at the moment. So I feel like that qualifies. You know, I think one of the things I genuinely feel is that every marriage has an arc, right? And it doesn't stay static. And I think that's, you know, you're two people and then there's this living thing in between you, which is a marriage. And one of the most profound things I ever heard about marriage was the best you can hope for is that you both don't fall out of love with each other at the same time. And I think there's just so much that's unrealistic. And I've been married 18 years. So it's a long time. So to expect it to kind of remain one way for that entire period of time, I think is unrealistic. Or to expect that a good marriage for me is the same thing as a good marriage for you or for anybody else. We're all so different as people. And then you take two different people and the marriage they'll have in between them is so different. You know, power dynamics and how you express affection and what you're looking for. So I think that that's why I bristle when there's this idea that there's this one thing that makes a good marriage and that anybody can tell you what that is, because we're all so different and what we want out of life is different. So
I think that's probably will come as a relief to people. I feel like sometimes people hold their own relationships up to a standard that is really fictitious, right? Like, oh, they must be happier, or that must be a better marriage, or blah, blah, blah. But there is no such thing, really. I mean, it's how is your life going? How are you feeling? So I don't know.
Like, are you happy at that moment? And like one of the things that's always been true for my husband and I is we argue a lot, and we are like both really strong personalities. And he's always wrong, obviously, and I'm always right. That goes without saying. But I think for a long time when we first were married, I was like, why are we all like, no one else argues? Like we argue all the time, and that doesn't make us better. Like, I'm not suggesting that, you know, arguing is the key. I would never say what the key is. But I think it's how you do things. Like those simple markers of like absolute honesty in and of itself isn't necessarily a great thing. Arguing not at all isn't necessarily a good thing. And I think you really have to examine the underpinnings and why you have certain dynamics more than what the dynamics are themselves.
And also, it's like, if you're married to the person who also doesn't mind arguing, that's great. But if you're married to the one who never wants to argue, that's where the problems are.
That's problematic. That's not good. Yes, exactly. No, that's exactly right. And it's about finding somebody who's you just fit with in that way.
And what was like the timeline start to finish for this book?
I think the whole thing was like 18 months, but my first drafts are really, really fast because they're terrible. So I just write them really fast, and they're kind of like an extended outline. It's the revision process. I probably rewrote this book, the entire book, meaning like almost every single word, 10 or 12 times before I handed it in. And then there's a really extensive revision process that takes place, obviously, with my agent and with then with my editor. So for me, the real process is revision, because once I have it kind of mapped out, I can start looking at all those threads and you know, trying to weave them more tightly together.
Amazing. Well, thank you for coming back on. Congratulations on the book launch since we last spoke. Really exciting. Congrats again on the film news. That's amazing. Way to go.
Thank you so much. Well, it's great to see you again, Libby.
You too. Bye.
Bye.